From the Borough at Athletic Park in Wausau, Wisconsin, it's Chucking It Up with Eric and Dan.
Welcome to Chucking It Up, Episode 8. We're back.
Yeah, today we got a great interview with former Woodchuck pitcher Travis Lutz. It was an excellent interview. Our longest interview yet. And I did say former Woodchuck, but that may change. You can hear about that in the interview. To start off, we're just going to run through the previous week and all the results from each Woodchucks game. So we will start out with Monday, June 2nd, against the Fond du Lac Dock Spiders.
Still don't know what a dock spider is, but maybe we'll figure it out by the end of the year.
Yeah, if anyone knows, slide in our DMs and let us know. It's confusing, but we'd love to know. But yeah, big win against the Dock Spiders, 10-1.
Yeah, and if you guys remember, we played them on Sunday, and we won 20-2. So in a 2-game set, we beat them 30-3. But back to Monday, Tyson Potts, he was hot. He went 7 scoreless innings and struck out 12 batters. He was on fire. And on Monday, he earned Northwoods League Player of the Night. So give it up for Tyson. Beautiful, beautiful outing.
Yeah, very deserving of that as well. And we've been calling him the Fireman. I think it's a fitting nickname. Then we went to Tuesday, June 3rd, the Royal Oak Leprechauns.
Yeah, we lost a tight one to them. It says 6-9 on the score. We left a lot of runs out there. They beat us. You'll have those days. But what I've noticed from this team, they bounce back very quickly, and you'll see that as we continue to go throughout the week.
Yeah, and we got to touch on the Grand Slam by SJ.
Jude's on fire this year.
Staying hot.
Wild. On fire, defensively, offensively. Yeah, the Grand Slam, it was a loss. I don't like to talk much about losses, but yes, that Grand Slam, huge. Being at the ballpark, that electrified the Borough like none other. A big play.
At the time, it tied the game up. It couldn't hold on, but yeah, that was a huge moment.
Yeah, and that was on the Tuesday loss too. It felt like every time the Chucks clawed their way back, the next inning they just couldn't keep the lead or keep it tied till they got up again on their offense. But I heard on Saturday they're one of the top offenses in the Northwoods League. They had 100 runs going into Saturday's game. 100. So we're never out of it. The Chucks are never out of a baseball game.
Yeah, and then we took on Royal Oak, the Leprechauns again, next day, June 4th, and had a big win, 14-3.
Yeah, and another stellar outing. This wasn't the starting pitcher. The starting pitcher that did go, I don't have his name on hand, but Nolan Bernard came in after him and just helped us keep the lead. He threw 5 scoreless innings and struck out 5 and got the dub. So it was a big, much-needed inning from a relief pitcher there. So good job, Nolan.
Yeah, and then the team down south came to town to strike up a little four-game set, renew the rivalry, and we started that off with a victory at home, 6-5.
Yes, it's always great to beat the team down south. Always great. They're always electric and close. They're very fun games to be at. I will never miss one of those if I can help it. And then we went into Friday, the next night, back and forth game all night. They battled back in the 9th. They tied it up at 4. Then we went into extras, and in the Northwoods League, like the majors, you have a guy start on second. They got a base knock to start off the inning, went up 5-4, and then we came back and scored 2. We had Noah Malone or Anthony Quigley stealing from second to third, and their catcher threw down to third, but instead threw it down to me at third, and that's not where you want to throw it. And the Chucks win in 10 on that one in walk-off fashion.
Yeah, and then there were fireworks after the game too, so it's like you got a walk-off win and then fireworks show. Can't beat that.
They were great fireworks, and I think there's like 4 or 5 other nights worth fireworks, so if you didn't get out to those ones, get out to firework night on Friday. Even with a loss, we all want the W, But the fireworks show is always great, win or lose. Much better with a win.
Yeah, and just to jump back to Thursday too. Thursday was Jersey night as well. A huge turnout. People were lining up very early to get their jersey.
Let's pack the borough like that every night. Give us 3/4, half of that, maybe even a quarter of that. I get it. But if we could do that every game, the borough would be electric every night. It is electric every night, but it would be just a tough place to play more than it already is.
So then after 2 games at home, we headed down south to their home stadium, and we're not going to mention the team name. We never do, but yeah, took it on the chin. Took it on the chin last night, losing 4-14.
Mama said there would be days like this, and there was. But like I said earlier in the week, we bounced back. The Chucks bounced back, and that they did on Sunday, beating Madison in extras again, 3-2, and Tyson Potts stays hot. He comes and throws another 6 scoreless innings with 2 strikeouts. And here comes the unfortunate news.
Yeah, unfortunately, the game will not count due to fake, I guess.
The Chucks, they brought in Nolan Bernard to throw in relief, and he wasn't on the active roster. So he was never brought on the active roster. He must have been inactive on Saturday. Don't quote me, but that's just from what I'm hearing from my sources. And then he was never made active on Sunday. So they brought him in. He was warming up. The team down south knew it all along. So you got to tip their cap to them. They're paying attention. We didn't see it. I say we like I was a part of it, but I'm a super fan. So as soon as Nolan threw 1 pitch, Donnie Scott came out and said, hey, this guy's not on their roster. He can't be out here. And then they still finished the game because if the team down south, which is rare, if they beat us, it would have mattered in the standings. But it's a moot point since the team picked up from where the mistake was. It's a moot point. We're even in the standings instead of us being a game ahead in the division.
So it doesn't count as a loss. But it also doesn't count as a win.
The records just stay the same as they were Saturday night after we took it on the chin. So yeah, that's all we know. We don't know if the Northwoods League is going to put in an article or in the recap or something. But if you go on their site right now, it says we're on a 2-game losing streak, but we're still at 5 losses. So that doesn't make sense either. But it doesn't count in the win column for us or the loss column for Madison. It's just a moot point. But the reason they finished it out, because if Madison wins, they get the W, we do take the L. So it's actually really big that we did win because we're still even instead of down a game.
Yeah, I mean, mistakes happen, obviously. Like, it's not the end of the world, but we kind of gave them a freebie and they still couldn't win. So,
right.
I mean, it doesn't really affect
right now, it doesn't affect anything, and I'm sure it won't. I mean, I'm sure, obviously, this was on the coaches, and knowing Corey, I'm sure he took accountability for it and was just proud of the boys for picking him up. So, and as I said, every day during this week, we will bounce back, and we head back to Fond du Lac, and it's going to be a bad day to be a Dock Spider. They hate to see the Woodchucks coming after a 30-3 2-game set. So we have Fond du Lac, Monday, Tuesday, we're at Fond du Lac. They get a breather on Wednesday. They take a little breather, have an off day. Then they get their lone home game for a 2-week stretch against Rapids. And then Friday, they're in Rapids. And then Saturday is the start of their Michigan road trip. They head to Kalamazoo for 2, then Royal Oak for 2, and then they come back to the Wisconsin side on Wednesday the 18th. I know I'm going really far ahead, but I want you to know why they're not at home. And then Wednesday the 18th, 19th, and 20th, they're in Lakeshore. There might be a doubleheader in there. I think so. the schedule's really small to read. And then Saturday the 21st, they're on the road against Fond du Lac. And then they will be home June 22nd against Fond du Lac. So get out there and go watch softball, because I'm assuming in that stretch, softball will be home. I do know they will be home June 10th. This Tuesday is the first Wasik Night softball game. Get out there and support a friend of the pod, Jasmine Estrada. Let me say her name clear. Jasmine Estrada. Get out there and support her and the team. They came to town this week, so.
Yeah, it's going to be a historic night. First ever Northwoods League softball game played at Athletic Park. And I believe it's also Rally Town night, too. So
correct.
Come watch history be made and get a rally towel.
Yep, and like we said, we have a great interview with not one, but a 2-year former Chuck. He's already been here 2 years, so he knows a lot about the Chucks. You can hear the differences between when Corey took his off year and with Brock Moss, the manager that stepped in that year that Corey took a year off. You can hear the differences there, hear how he would love to play for both of them again. Great interview. Hear the differences between batting and pitching, because Travis Lutz, as we all know, if you're a Chucks fan, he can do both. Just hear about all that stuff with him. I loved the interview. It was a great interview. And like Dan said, there's a chance he makes a return to the Borough this summer.
Yeah, he needs some innings. You'll hear about that in the interview. And and if you forgot, he did start. He was a starting pitcher in the one playoff win last year.
Down south, yes.
So yeah, great
hear
interview
about that and a whole lot more. But
yeah, so not a bad week. Chucks went, 2-4 since we're not counting today. Or 4-2. I'm sorry, 4-2 since we're not counting today. So yeah, pretty good week. And yeah, it's all about how you respond. As you can see, they're not losing 2 in a row. They lose and they bounce back. So
Chucks, if you can continue how you play at home, they're a 500 ball club on the road. If you can play 500 ball on the road and do what I don't know what their home record is, but it's better than 500, we will be all right. And the mistake that happened today, I can guarantee you this coaching staff will not let that happen again. I know it. I'll bet any money on it. That will never happen again. I can guarantee it here on Chucking It Up.
Yeah, so we'll see how
all right, well, we're going to kick it off to Travis. Great interview. Yeah. Hopefully you listen to the whole thing. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button on YouTube, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts. Follow us on IG. That's where we throw out all our content. And if you Facebook. Didn't see today, the team down south, another Northwoods League team, did not learn. SJ had another web gem, saved a ball from hitting off the wall in the 9th. They didn't learn. Comprehension. They didn't learn.
We even tried to warn you guys, but yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty simple concept. Comprehension. But here's Travis. We'll see you guys. Joining us next on the pod is one of the best two-way prospects in Woodchuck's history. From Bradley University, Travis Lutz.
How we doing? I appreciate
what's up, Travis?
Just going through some transfer portal stuff now. Maybe looking to come play this second half again.
Let's go.
I sustained a broken thumb in April, so I'm kind of working through. And, I might need some innings in the back half because I think I only finished with 30. So I'm hoping to get back in the second half potentially again, get some innings up there. I do my 3rd year up there. So, I wouldn't go anywhere else.
That a baby.
For sure. I can't do that, especially to Corey. Corey's and Wausau itself is too awesome not to return.
Yeah, that's pretty sick. I didn't know you had a chance of coming back.
Yeah. I have 1 more year due to the Diego Pavia rule. I went to JUCO my first year, so I get that extra year now just from that. So then I'm in the transfer portal as a grad student, looking to transfer out somewhere and look for a new home, and I might need some innings to do so. But currently working through some PT with my thumb, and looking maybe get some innings in the second half.
Have you talked to Corey?
Yeah, I texted him a little bit ago, and probably back in early May. I was still in a splint and all that stuff. Like, hey, like, just looking, obviously looking for some help, maybe, reaching out to some schools. And I was like, hey, also, I would be interested in potentially coming back if it's right for me to do so. I would love to come back and throw for you again in the second half, um, if all ends up correct, which is looking that way. So I got to definitely reach back out to him.
Does the injury affect your batting? Like, could you come and bat while you're still healing, and then?
Yeah, so I actually am done hitting now. I've given it up after last summer. I was starting to get some draft looks on the mound.
Oh,
So I was like, you know what? I'm going to devote my time and effort to one thing and try and focus in on it. So I did it through the fall, but once I got through that, I was like, I think I know where my money's at, and I'm gonna ride with it. But unfortunately, I actually I broke my thumb trying to stop a comebacker with my bare hand. Not ideal. Not ideal.
so you didn't stop it?
Nope, it went right by me. Just caught the thumb. I thought I was gonna be cool and like, bare. I got some big hands, so I was hoping to palm it, but it just drilled the thumb only, and I think it was hit over 100. So I mean, it hit the ground first, but yeah, you're supposed to use the glove.
Yeah, so I guess jump into that the two-way player part. When did you like realize that you were like good at both, like pitching and hitting?
Yeah. So I've kind of had an interesting career where, so in high school, I wasn't highly recruited. Um, I was a big body. I hit left-handed, so that was attractive for JUCOs and some other schools. I also could throw it at that time. I think I only threw like 86 or 87. Um, and so I went to Illinois Central College and I two-wayed there. I was a catcher too, by the way. I was a big catcher. But I was done with that because if I was going to pitch, only freaks can do that, pitch and catch at the same time. That's Paul Skeens, at Air
Yeah.
Force. That wasn't me. That was not me. So I decided to keep the hitting thing. And honestly, I knew I was really good at hitting, but where could I play in the field was always the question. And then pitching just came along. Once I got to the fall of my freshman year, I started to hit like 90 a couple times, and there was some real promise there. I got recruited to Bradley, and we played them in a fall game, and as a JUCO playing a Division I school, you face some of their guys, and they got a live look at me hitting and pitching in the same little game on a Saturday, um, and I think I had like a 105-mile-an-hour line drive for a hit. And then I also threw like 90, 91. I could spin the breaking ball at like 2,800 RPMs, which is about a little above average. So there were some things that, like metrically that's like, I am actually pretty good at this whole thing. I just got to, fine tune it and figure it out a little more. But the tough thing about doing the two-way was just a little bit of the inconsistency of ABs between starts and how your body feels the next day after pitching, and you don't want to wear it out the day before you're pitching. So it's just kind of tough. But I knew from the start I was solid at it, but I definitely started growing more on the pitching side than I did on the hitting side. But I loved it. It was a blast.
I see you also started on the football field as well.
Yeah, yeah, I played a little quarterback. We weren't very good as a team, but yeah, I could throw it a little bit. We threw the ball a lot. Um, that was fun. That was a good time. That I was, the epitome of a Peyton Manning type. I wasn't a very quick cat, so it was drop, 3-step drop, let it go, and some sprint out stuff. But yeah, we threw the ball a lot. It was fun. It was a lot of fun. I miss it.
And you hold the record for single season passing yards and in a game at Limestone High School.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I threw against it was against a school called Morton. I threw for 418 yards. I think I was like 34 for like 48 in a game.
Wow.
So we just threw it. We were running 12-yard ends, and it was cover 4. They were just dropping back. They weren't getting beat deep, and so we would just. And I was fortunate enough. I had all my receivers were athletes of other sports. We had a like a small forward type. He was like a 6'5" basketball player, and we had like a 6'4" pitcher, and then we had my center fielder who was about 5'8", 5'10", probably 5'10". 5'8" is probably low bone. I'm sorry, Zach, if you see this. Um, and he was our quick little under guy, our slot guy, and so I had a fortunate group of guys I was able to throw to. So when in doubt, it was just throw it up, let them go get it, and it was fun. That was a blast. Yeah, that was a good game.
Was there any thoughts of maybe going forward with football, or was it always baseball?
Yeah, I gave football thought, but as a kid, it was always baseball. Like I want to play, want to play in the professional, major leagues, and I want to get there. And I've always wanted to wear the Cubs uniform, when I was a kid, being a Cubs fan or whatnot. So, but I gave football thought for sure because obviously there was some interest. Football gets the money, and you know how that goes. So.
Yeah.
But so do you. You get a lot of money if you throw the white thing pretty well too. So
Yeah.
Well, I see your
And
dad chose to go play football in college, at
yep,
least.
yep. That's the other thing is he was a big football guy too. He was a little bit different though. He was a safety. He was a little quicker than I was. I didn't get his athletic genes for the speed part. So, but yeah, he played football at Western for I think 2 or 3 years there. They were pretty good then. They're not as great these days, but at that time they were playing like I think they were playing like Randy Moss out at Marshall and stuff.
wow.
So like he's got some stories out there with. And actually, my former my JUCO coach, he played at Western Illinois as well. He played football and baseball, so he played Randy Moss and all that stuff. So they got good stories out there with Western.
Did your dad ever cover Moss?
No, my
No.
dad didn't play very much. My dad
No.
didn't play very much, but you remember seeing him, and you can pick him out.
So when you're a two-way player like that, is it when like other players are like during practice or whatever? Is it do you focus on one thing or the other? Do you like throw some bullpen sessions and then go hit some, or how does that work?
Yeah, yeah. So fortunately, so like at Bradley, when it's more or like at school at least, it's more structured. Um, and so there will be a plan, usually there's a practice plan for us, like an itinerary put out for practice. And I'll have an idea that day, like, okay, say it's Tuesday, we have Monday off because we just played the weekend. So it's Tuesday. I started on Fridays this year. That's my bullpen day. So I'll probably focus more on pitching, get my throws in. Um, and then I'll probably go get some swings after, but it won't be anything extensive. It'll probably be no more than 30 to 40 swings. Wednesday, however, that'll be more of my hitting day. I can get my catch play in with some position guys if I need. And they eat it up too because they start throwing their change ups and their sliders and so it kind of varies each day. More middle of the weeks, like midweek stuff is more hitting kind of intense, but closer to the weekend and like a Tuesday or like your bullpen day or whatever that might be, is more pitching.
So what brought you to the Chucks? Like, how'd you get connected with them?
Yeah. So my pitching coach, Andrew Warner, he knew Coach Moss. And I was like, hey, I had my sophomore year at Bradley, I led the Missouri Valley and hit by pitches, on the mound, not at the plate. So the bad way. And he got me hooked up here, and I came with my teammate Theo Zeidler, and we came up and we had a blast, and that's how I got hooked up there. And then obviously, you're in a group chat with all the players, and so many players come and go with injuries, contracts, all that kind of stuff. And someone in the group chat threw in Coach Thompson's number, and I was like, if I'm going to come back and play, I'm going to go to Wausau again, because that was too nice, and we get treated extremely well up in Wausau. And obviously, there's fans that love it, like you guys, and you guys make it enjoyable for us just as much as we do for you guys. So that's how I got hooked up, and that's how I stayed.
How different is Coach Moss versus Coach Thompson?
We're just gonna ask that.
Trying to think here. Corey's more interactive with the guys, and I think a little more loose. And he's a good little mentor to other guys. And Coach Moss, he was more hard, stricter. Some guys weren't allowed to go on visits and stuff. Corey, kind of lets that happen and whatnot. But ultimately, I had no problem with either one. I would do it again for either one of them. But obviously, we just had more success with Corey. Last year's team was pretty storybook, but job's not finished though.
Attaboy.
Obviously.
Yeah. So was it different when you came back for your second year with a different manager?
It was a little different, obviously, like coming from a program like Bradley or so, and them not knowing so much about you. Obviously there's a little bit of like, you got to prove yourself a little bit to be like, okay, I earned these innings. So there's a little bit of that in there. But honestly, not really. Honestly, they both made it pretty easy to transition into playing every single day, being with the guys, and both made it really fun. But Corey's awesome. Corey's great.
We agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I really like him. I would play for him in a heartbeat.
So, how was the grind? Like, how did you adjust to that grind of the Northwoods League, playing every day, no off days, barely?
Yeah. It's one of those things, like, you kind of got to get into the mindset, like, okay, this is what I want to do for a living. This is what it takes. And all right, this day I got to get my lift in before we get to the bus, or I got to get my lift in after this game, and I got to get my throwing in, got to get my running in. Those I got to nail my 3 goals or my 3 things on the day. And it's really just about the mindset, because it gets tiring. Getting back super late on the buses. You're there. There's not a game that's before 6 o'clock or so. So, it's like, I think for a while there, this was my daily routine. I woke up, I would make about 4 eggs, protein shake, creatine, lift, be at the field by 2 o'clock, play the game, come home, go to sleep, maybe play a little PlayStation, go to sleep, and then do it all over again. And I think that was the best thing that happened for me, was that grind. And I didn't think the adjustment was too bad, just because I knew that this is what I want. This is why I'm here. I want to win just like anybody else.
So,
What?
last week Max was saying that being a pitcher and a batter, your routines are going to be a little bit different. But you were doing both in the Northwoods League.
Yeah.
So how did that affect you?
Yeah, for sure. It's a little it just takes more time. Like, that's it. It's not like the effort, of course, is there, but I need more time. Like, I'm going to have to show up an hour before we're told, so I can get my swings in the cage. And then I'm able to go out pre-game, get my throwing in, and have like the right amount of time to be on time with the game. Or, if I'm starting that day, I'm going to take my break from like early swings. I still hit BP before I pitched, like on field and stuff. Just, it felt like another way to stay loose. I'm more of a loose person. I'm not a super serious, like I got to stay loose. Like to play hacky sack with the boys, one of those. And so I would ease up on the swings, but I would still do it all, just so, because that routine was still there. From throwing and BP and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's a little bit different from hitting to pitching. Pitching, there's a little more downtime just by itself, because it's really just bands, plyos, throw. maybe some mobility, but hitting, it's like, okay, that's more of a grind. You got the swings, you got the fielding, which I was fortunate enough that I pretty much just DH. So it's like I kind of just took off on the fielding side. So that's easy. It's easier when you just DH versus if you play a position like the crazy ones are the shortstops that pitch. Those ones I'll never understand. The arm, I'll never get that. But those are the freaks of nature that we all can't be. And I'm fortunate for what I've had, but man, those guys are pretty awesome that can do it. So I can't imagine what their grind is on their body with that stuff. But yeah, it's a lot, but it's just more timely. That's it. That's what I would say.
Yeah, so I guess what is different about you? Because obviously, like most pitchers can't hit, and like there's very few instances, like Babe Ruth, Shohei, select few that can do both. Like, so what? I guess what is the difference for the guys that can do it? Because
Yeah,
most pitchers are
I
really
think if
bad, at hitting.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you ever see, if we ever throw a shutout, typically pitchers hit BP. It's not a great showing. It's
Yeah.
not a great showing. But I don't know. I think there's a little bit of a sense of athleticism, just you see other athletes take swings, like basketball players taking swings and football players. It's just not there, But I don't know. I think that's just part of it. But I don't know. I think I just had it from a young age. I was always a better hitter than a pitcher until I got like these last 2-3 years. I just got much better at pitching. I was able to throw harder, stronger. But I think hitting was always came natural until the pitching got way better. Respectfully, you see a couple, 86-mile-an-hour sliders, and you're like, all right, I'm good.
Yeah.
And it only gets quicker. So
I know you said you gave up hitting now, but was there ever a thought like where you were like, maybe I should just be a hitter, a position player, and give up pitching?
early there was, but once I got to Bradley, and I've had talks like with my coaches and stuff, like it was always like, hey, like you're a pitcher, dude. Like there's a chance you can do this. So my last 3 years, no. But when I was at ICC, I was like, maybe I could just be a hitter and I could just park myself in right field or something, and we'll figure it out. Play for
Yeah.
the Yankees or something. They'll fit in there.
Yeah.
So you said you're currently in the portal.
Yep.
What would you tell any coach out there what they're getting in you as a player, a teammate, all that stuff, besides the talent on the field?
Yeah. I think you're just getting a good person. I think you're getting a leader. I think that you're getting a hard worker, which, it's easy to say that, but um, as a captain on our team at Bradley here, and for the first time in 2-3 years, we made our conference tournament, and I can't even take personal gain for that because I missed actually majority of those wins. We started 0-11 in conference play, and we ended up finishing 12-16, 12-15 in conference play. And, I think there's just a level of there's no quit. I don't quit. I finished the job. And I helped our our what do you call it, community service. I was in charge of our community service, and we were able to get that done pretty well this year. And each year you see Bradley guys kind of with a shaved head. We shave our heads for cancer each year, and we raise up money for that. I think we raised like 16,000. I want to
Awesome.
say. And so, I was in charge of our overall community service part. And just, working hard just in my blood, it's just, nothing comes easy, and nothing good comes easy. And I'm aware of that, and I'm willing to take any challenge on and compete. So
why are you entering the portal?
yeah, it's kind of like just one of those token years. I wasn't sure. I wasn't even supposed to get this. I finished out basically you could call it your contract,
Okay. Yeah.
Finished my 4 years. We didn't know we were going to get this year until officially till April. And, on top of it, there's just some in-house stuff at Bradley that just needs some change. We played 6 home games on the road. Little interesting.
Yeah.
We played like our home series versus Illinois State at Illinois State. We swept them. So that was fun. And then we played Indiana State 4 hours away at a neutral site. So there's some small things in there that I'm just like, I've had enough. But and the other thing is too, I'm looking to get my MBA, and Bradley University doesn't offer it. So
Okay.
just a little bit of everything. Like, I have no hard feelings with anybody there, any coach. I still am in contact with all of them. Hoping our new pitching coach is I hope to get the job. But yeah, head coach retired. On top of that, all of this too. So it's kind of piling up. So that's why I went in, and I'm just kind of looking for a change of scenery, and looking for something new for my last year, and I'm excited. So
Yes, I saw you have some NIL stuff out there. I was looking at how much does that play a factor in this transfer portal decision? Like where you're gonna go?
yeah, yeah. I haven't actually heard much about NIL as of right now. Some of the bigger schools have it, like Missouri Valley schools don't really. I think the only school that does is, at least that I'm aware of personally, is Missouri State, but they're leaving. They're going to Conference USA, and they do it a little interesting. At least I think from what I hear, but um, so some of the bigger schools offer it, like a couple schools I talked to might have it, like Iowa and Illinois, might have it. So that would be cool. That would be pretty sweet. I haven't heard anything about that, but I'm sure we'll get to a point there, more conversations and visiting and stuff. So that would be pretty cool. That would have a pretty good, sway on that decision.
Yeah.
I see your teammate Reese Clapp is up in Wausau this year.
Yeah.
He's got 2 saves on the year.
Yeah, he's a dog. He's a dog. He needed a place to go. I texted Corey. I was like, "Hey, I got a guy that might be able to help you in the back end, bullpen guy, cutter, splitter guy. He's been nails this back half. I mean, he started out our school year, not or our the season, front half non-con. Not the way he wanted, but man, he picked it up and picked it up quick. He earned pitcher of the week 1 week. And he's a dog, great dude. He's a guy who's had a story a little bit different. He was at an NAIA school called Columbia for 3 years, transferred to Bradley because we were one of few to give him a shot. Proved himself. Now he's also in the portal, just with everything going on, and he's really getting good looks. He's a guy that I'm happy to call a teammate that I had, and hopefully we end up maybe in the same place. Who knows there? And hopefully he's still there if I can get there. Up in Wausau.
Is there a ton of guys in the portal? I know you just mentioned Reese. Like, is there a bunch?
Oh yeah, probably like 75% of the team.
Wow.
So it's gonna be a mess. But if the guy that we all want gets the job, he said he'll take him back, and most said they want to come back. So there's a unit there. We're pretty united over here. Even though we're still in the portal, but we still feel the same way about everything, which is cool. And that's what I love. Just that brotherhood and that loyalty. And that's kind of some things even though it's it's a summer team, that's how I felt up there. That's how it felt. It's summer ball, but like we're still making rivalries and making big games and coming out the other end for each other, and that's what I loved.
Do you know a lot of guys that play in the Northwoods League? Like not even for just the
Yeah,
Woodchuck,
I know
but
a
just in general.
handful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know a handful, especially played against too. I know Wausau's got an Evansville guy.
Yeah,
Longmire.
Charlie Longmire.
Yeah, he's a good little ball player.
Mm-hmm.
He kind of torched us a little bit when we played him. But he and I played with a couple Evansville cat, Witter and Sherry. And I just missed Schallenberger that year. But yeah, so I know a few, but not too many this year. Um, honestly, just being older, it's typically sophomore, juniors.
Yeah. So was that like a goal to play in the Northwoods League at all, or did you always like
Yeah,
that'd be cool?
absolutely. I remember being in high school and hearing about the Northwoods League, and it's a pretty big deal to get up there and get a contract with a team, because that means you're good enough. You're good enough to get that opportunity, and I was glad I found my opportunity here.
Was that a big change for you to be away from home all summer and with a totally different family?
A little bit, but honestly, it was enjoyable because my host family was great. They took care of me really well, and they brought me in like their own. We still talk and text to this day, and I send them go Bears stuff, even though it never goes well. But we still talk all the time, and they made my transition really easy. And it was a blast, and they made it fun.
Who was your host family, if I can ask?
I had the Ziegelmeyers, Mr. and Mrs. Ziegelmeyer.
Are they still host families?
I'm not sure. I don't think so. I don't think they are, because it was my teammate Theo Zeidler. It was his aunt and uncle, and he was with me my first year. And then I came back, and I called him, and I was like, "Hey, do you guys mind if I come with you guys? I'm familiar. I know my way around Rothschild now. Like, can I come and stay?" And they're like, "Yeah, absolutely. That bedroom's ready." Like, I'm like, "All right, I'm in. Let's go." So
That's
it
sweet.
was great.
Well,
And meeting the host families at the end of the year was awesome too. At shoot, I'm blanking on the
The
name.
Tobalskis?
Yes, yes, yes. That was fun. It was a
Yeah,
good
the
time.
kids love that. The big football game.
Oh yeah,
That was a
oh
blast
yeah. I
for them.
remember that. I
yeah,
remember that.
yeah. Eric hosts. Um, I don't, but he might be needing a player for the second half. So
All right, yeah.
just
I
saying.
mean, hey, if everything goes right, I'm in.
And we live in Rothschild. You
So
know your
Really?
way
All
around.
right. I know my way around there.
see what happens.
I'd be in. Is Jake Birkland back?
He will be back June 15th.
Let's go.
He got a
Let's go.
hernia at the end of the season.
Oh no.
So you know
That was
Jake. He just wants to
yeah.
go play. He told me, he's
Yeah,
like,
I'm
whenever the
sure.
doctor says go, I'm ready.
Let's go.
Because that's another
awesome.
dog.
Oh, that's more than just a dog. He's actually so good. He's so good.
Is there?
And a good he's a good, he's got like this contagious feeling that you just like there's some things you can't teach about people, and he's that. He's that.
100.
Yeah. Is there a major league player that you kind of model your game after, or just a favorite player of yours?
Oh man, it's been a while. He didn't really work out so well, but Mike Soroka,
Okay.
when he was younger, I really liked his stuff. Like watching him throw. Um, I liked what his sinker was always good, and that's kind of what I tried to model. Model off of. An easy one's Blake Trinan. His sinker. Sinker slider is God given. Um, but yeah, those are probably my two. But Soroka was the one that comes to mind when you say that. But he just hasn't really worked out in the big leagues, unfortunately, with some injuries and stuff. But he's still, you can learn so much from guys like that, and just seeing what they do with the ball, and they make the ball dance.
Yeah. You said you're a Cubs fan.
Yes, kind of unfortunately, but fortunately right now.
Sorry about it.
So
Yeah, no, it's.
I'm a huge Cardinal fan, so
Are you?
yes.
yeah, and I'm a Reds fan. So
Really?
we got kind of the whole division here.
Oh wow! I figured you guys were Brewers fans.
No,
How'd
No,
you
we're
guys
kind of.
become
never.
those Reds?
Well, I was a big Ken Griffey Jr. fan growing up, and then he
Okay.
got traded to the Reds, and I was more of a Griffey fan than
Yeah.
our Mariners
Sure.
fan. So just followed along, and now I'm stuck here. So as a Reds fan,
And I liked Mark McGuire. Just
Sure. Yeah.
hung on.
yeah.
That makes
So
sense. Those are pretty good players.
yeah. So how about when the Cubs finally broke the curse and won the World Series, and the
Oh, yeah.
World Series MVP Ben Zobrist, former Chuck.
Yep. Former Chuck. You know, he's from a town about 20 minutes outside of where I'm from.
Oh, Dan, it's our connection.
Yeah, can you tell him to come on? We want him on the pod.
I'll send him a DM.
We
put
already
him in
tried.
DM.
He doesn't read them.
Oh no.
Well, maybe from
I'll
you. I don't know.
Maybe I'll send a letter over there because that would be a great guest to have.
Yeah, he's
special.
He's by far like the GOAT Woodchuck. Obviously, since you play for him, but yeah, he's like he's the best. So we'll keep trying.
That's actually funny. My host family in my room, like the spare bedroom, they had a Ben Zobrist bobblehead woodchuck, and I was like, was this? I thought this was like kind of a joke. Like,
Yeah.
Oh,
did they know? Like, I'm from him. Like, I'm from where he's pretty much from.
Yeah.
Like, literally like 15 minutes, and they're like, no, we just played for the Woodchucks and we have that. And I'm like, yeah, I'm from pretty much the same town he is. And they were like, no way. And yeah, it worked out. So yeah, that's cool. He was a good player. I'll never forget that double he hit down the line in game 7.
Yeah.
Rizzo was like this, I'll always remember
cool.
that. I was
Yeah.
like, great. Jeez. That was almost 10 years ago. Gosh. Time flies.
so is there like one song that just gets you going and jacks you up before a game?
I'd have to say probably Grace by Lil Baby, and 42 Doug. It's a little unique, but for some reason it just gets the blood boiling.
Yeah, we're putting all these songs that our guests say in a big Spotify playlist, so we'll add it to the playlist.
All right, let's go. That one gets me going.
Did you have a walk-up song? I know you were mainly a pitcher, but for when you DH, did you have a walk-up song?
Yeah, I kind of varied it. I tried to mix it up, just kind of unique. I think my last few, one was Danny California by the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Okay.
And that's probably, I'll argue that's the best song of all time. It's not,
Yeah.
but it is. It
Yeah.
is to me. And then Could You Be Loved by Bob Marley.
Oh yeah.
So those are probably my last two that I had. So yeah, I think those were my last two. And then, for pitching, we still get it, but it's like, a minute long. You never know if it's actually theirs.
Yeah.
But typically I do like a Whiskey Myers song, bar guitar and a honky tonk crowd. So
Okay.
those are like the three, I'd say.
So what's your favorite part of being a woodchuck from either summer? Just one memory that just sticks out whenever you think of your summers in Wausau. Or maybe a couple.
Honestly, yeah, man, there's a lot. My favorite was just always beating Madison.
Yes.
We love you.
Yeah.
That was my favorite. Just beating Madison all the time. They got us in the back end. They got us when it mattered.
Unfortunately.
You got to hand it to them. They got it, got it when it mattered. But I just loved beating Madison. That was my favorite, especially at Madison because they always have a packed crowd. It's a good crowd, awesome stadium to play at, and, they have good players too. And it's always fun to compete against them. And, coming out on the other end is always, always the best. And then I'd probably say my second is it's probably just, the wins at home and then fireworks right after. Those were pretty fun all the time because everyone's always in a good mood, and, typically that means it was a Friday or Saturday. So it was a good crowd. Everybody had enjoyed that and it was fun. Not to mention also, I'll give you three. Maurice, our bus driver.
Oh, yeah, he was awesome.
He was awesome. He's a special human. He was awesome.
A great guy. Yeah, I met him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, awesome. dude.
for sure.
Yeah, so I didn't think there was a chance you were coming back, so I don't know how much of a chance there is. But yeah, I hope we see you later this summer. That'd be awesome.
That's my goal. I can't make promises, but that is my goal.
Yeah.
I'm totally trying to come up again because obviously I need innings and I don't want to get them anywhere else. So I want to be there. So
And there's a job to
I have
finish.
to oh, absolutely, totally, absolutely. That was a sour taste left in the mouth, and I was hitting in that game when we lost, and I remember that was just like. There's something about being one of the last few outs in a game, if not the last out, that it was one of my biggest pet peeves.
Yeah.
Being an out in the ninth inning, and I think I was, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, that one always hurt. But yeah, it was fun. That was a good series. That pitching that starting game one, and then Slim coming in to slam the door for 4 innings. Electric.
Slim, yeah, awesome.
Thought that moment when he threw his glove.
Oh yeah, I remember that so vividly. Jake Berkland homered in that game. Gosh, that was a great game. That was an awesome game. That was, I getting the chills here.
Yeah, that was one of the best baseball games I've ever watched.
Yeah, I remember that was I came out of the game like I threw 5 innings. I think I gave up. I don't even know if I gave up a run. I don't think we did. I think we shut them out 5-0. But I was like, that was one of the best starts I've ever had, and it happened to be in a playoff game. Like I had no slider, no changeup, no sinker. I was just chucking fastballs, and I'm like, all right, here you go. And luckily, I think Drew Berkland might have robbed a homer for me and left too.
I think so.
And so that was pretty sweet. Those Berkland brothers saved me a lot of runs, so that helped my ERA. So I appreciate you boys.
So if you get word that you're coming back, can you DM us and let us know?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So we can break it.
Yeah, that's fine with me.
Okay.
That's totally cool with me. Doesn't need to be a secret. I'm in. I'm actually, I think one of the first few things I do up there is I'm probably going to go to Breakfast Bear.
Yeah.
That place is good too.
That's what Max was saying last week when we interviewed him.
Yeah, we would go a lot. I think it was me, Galvin, Hubbard, Sheehan, and Bryce Carter. And we would they would show up there a lot. I'd join them occasionally, but we'd always go, like, that's where they would always go. And if I joined, that's where we'd go. And it was fun. That was a good time. Is Bryce Hubbard coming back?
Not that I know of. They're still an attorney, aren't they? Oregon State?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, they'll probably be in it for a minute too. So
yeah, I haven't heard anything about him.
Gotcha. All right.
I know Solis is on his way.
Let's go.
Unfortunately, Kansas lost, but for the Chucks, here we go.
Yeah, no, for sure. Kansas had a great year.
Great year.
That was a great addition for him because he's another bat that just changes the lineup too for anybody.
Mm-hmm.
So he was a good player. I liked him too. Honestly, that team was crazy. Vance had a really good regional too.
Oh yeah, he's another talent.
Yeah,
wild.
We had some dogs on that team last year.
It was loaded.
Yeah, we had some dogs.
And I think that's why it hurts you guys so much that you couldn't finish the job, because you know how talented the whole roster was, top to bottom.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, there's some animals on that team that we had. Hopefully we can get some back. I know our group chat's pretty active from last year.
Yeah, that's what Max says.
We all watch the games, pretty much for the most part, and keeping up with it because obviously it means a lot to us. We want to see the wins and see us do well here, and we're doing it. We're out to a pretty good start. So
yeah, you were talking about you were doing some catching too. How about Solis catching, being as tall as he is?
Yeah, nothing will beat. I remember I closed out the game against Lakeshore, and I punched out the side, and he comes up to dap me up, and I'm like, this is not normal. Usually I'm looking down on the catcher.
For Yeah.
I'm looking up to him. I'm like, oh, all right, what's up, bro? Like, let's go home. Let's go eat.
Yeah,
But
and the
yeah, no,
Chucks won again tonight, 10-1. So
10-1. When's their
30-3 in a 2-game set. We'll take that.
Yeah, you'll take that. Absolutely. I know they got Madison coming up. I scoped that out pretty early.
Yeah, they got Madison this week. I think a couple at home and then a couple on the road this weekend against
Nice.
Madison.
Nice. Do you guys travel to any Chucks games? Like, do you guys go see these like Northwood stadiums and stuff? Is that like
I was at Green Bay, Rapids, and Madison last year.
okay?
And Rapids, we won't talk about that for long. But Green Bay and Madison, great parks. My faves.
Yeah, yeah. No, Green Bay is very, very nice. And Madison's just always packed, so it's a good time. College town, good place. So it's hard to compare that to others. So, but I always enjoyed playing at Rapids. I enjoyed playing there.
You weren't a fan. I mean, if you're a fan, we'll leave it at that. I mean,
That's fair. That's fair. I'll give that to you. I can see that. They always had some talent too. Wisconsin Rapids always had really good players, but for some reason they just never put it together. So not against the Chucks. I think did we lose one game to them last year?
yeah, I think it was like a 12:05 in the afternoon game, and they actually slaughtered you guys. It was
I think
a massacre.
because it was at home. It was a home.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was embarrassing. I remember that because we were like, "What is happening?" We've handled these guys all like in my time here, and everyone else is like, "We haven't lost to these guys yet," and it's like 15-1
Yeah.
or whatever it was.
It was one of those.
Like, oh, all right, just one of those days. Baseball happened to you. But
Yeah.
yeah.
So when you're pitching and you are, let's say you're struggling a little bit, how much do you hear the fans? Because like we like to do the ball five chant when a pitcher's and just get in their head. Are you hearing all that from the fans, or are you like just are you able to zone it out?
Yeah, obviously I feel like I'd be lying if I said no. But like you're trying as hard as you can to tune it out, and obviously, that works because you're focusing on the wrong things.
Okay.
So, I mean, like it works sometimes, but other times it's just like, I can't, I don't know. I'm trying to feel it out,
You're right.
We opened up at Alabama this year, week 1, and there was a guy above our dugout, I guess, just giving it to me, and I had no idea. But then I think I walked 2 in a row, and all of a sudden, then I could start to hear him, and I'm like, oh, you got to be kidding me. But I think we figured out that inning, but it wasn't a zero what we need, but but you start to hear it the more like you're trying, like your focus kind of evaporates a little bit, but it's there. It's definitely there.
Well, yeah, they had a 10-run eighth yesterday, and we were just laying into the pitcher. And
they were just trying to leave the pitcher in there just to get out of the inning. They were like, we're not bringing in any other pitcher. Let's just eat this inning. So he was out there on an island.
Yeah, that's a bad feeling. I've been there. Unfortunately, I've been on that end, and it's hard to get off that island.
Yeah.
It's tough.
The only reason he got off is because he met the pitch limit for an inning.
No way.
Yeah.
Yeah, we started chanting "keep him in," but they wouldn't. So.
I'm sure that they wanted to. I'm sure.
Yeah.
Let them figure it out. We don't want to waste another round.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dang. That's tough. What is the pitch limit? Do you know?
I didn't even know that was a rule, but I wanted to see how long the inning was today, so I just watched it back real quick. And on the broadcast, the announcer said he got pulled because he met the innings limit or the pitches for an inning.
Huh. Well, I know. So my first start as a woodchuck, I started in Green Bay, and I think I went 2 innings, and this is after I led the Missouri Valley, and hit by pitches. So I was trying to get out of a funk, trying to get right. And first start, I get out of the first, I think with a 1 spot. I think they got to me with 1, and then the next inning, I think I proceeded to walk 2 or 3, a sac fly, and I think I got out of it with just giving up 1 run. So I gave up 2 runs in 2 innings, but in that inning I threw 40 pitches and gave up a run, which is actually impressive in the wrong way.
Yeah.
And I came out and they're like, "Hey, that's it. You can't throw anymore because your pitch limit, I think it's like 36. You can't come
Yeah.
back out." But I didn't know if it's like you hit 36 now and it's like, all right, that's it.
I think he was close to 50, so I think it's 50 is when they're like, all right, no more. Is my guess.
Yeah. He was walking guys in, like walking runs in too, so he was throwing a lot of pitches.
It was a 26-minute inning.
Oh.
So.
Yeah.
That's a bad feeling. You gotta feel. Eventually, you feel for that kid, but.
And they didn't waste another arm. They brought in the shortstop. So.
Yeah.
Wow. Does he pitch or does he just?
I don't know. Because at the game I wasn't listening to broadcast, but yeah, they're like a position player is pitching now.
Wow.
And he got out of it, so.
Yeah. Hey, there's some ballers out there, man. They can just get it done.
Well, wasn't it this year in the majors, a position player struck out Shohei or something? Or it was a big time player, right?
Yeah.
No, he did. I forget who that was.
But a position player struck out Shohei. So
yeah. That just shows how hitting or how hard hitting really is,
right.
honestly. You know. We always joke like you can get some outs just in BP, and it's like you just got to throw it over the white thing and hope for the best sometimes. Like when in doubt, just miss.
Yeah, when the manager comes out or the pitching coach or whatever and tries to pull you, do you ever try to be like, no, I got this, just let me go a little more, or do you just listen to yeah?
Totally. I mean, there's a certain respect level, of course, that it's like I'm not gonna sit here and like fight Corey for the ball or anything, but
right.
But it's like, hey, let me finish this thing. Like this is my game. Like this is on me. Like if this goes wrong, this is on me, not you. Like let me finish the job here. But sometimes they're like, no, like we just we need a new look. We want for this matchup. We need a lefty here, and there's no talking them out of it. Unfortunately, being close to a salesman or a major, can't sell them on it. But
yeah,
So what? Now they're coming out and they're not going to pull you. What's the funniest thing a coach has told you just to get you to think about something else and laugh and?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I was actually when you said that, I was thinking about that already. And like, I had a high school pitching coach. He pitched into AAA with the Braves in like the late '80s, early or I think just the '80s. And he just had one of those goofy minds, And he would come out and just be like, "Want to hear a joke?" He would just he would just come out, no words before. He's like, "Want to hear a joke?" I'm like, "Sure, what's up?" And I'm already if there's a mound visit, I'm not, obviously something's not going right. He was, and I can't remember what it was. But he would rip off some one-liner with a joke, and I'm like, why am I smiling right now? And he's like, you need it? All right, let's fill up the zone here. Just giving you a break. Let's go get this kid. Like, I can't remember what the joke was. That's what angers me. But yeah, sometimes like pitching, like when the pitching coach comes out, it's like, hey, just giving you a break. Sometimes they'll make light of it. Like yeah, man, you're throwing it well. Like, but not well enough, man. I'm like, hey, no doubt. Like, thanks. Like, and they smile and like they're meaning it in a good way, not like, being a jerk or anything. But yeah, there's a lot of jokes thrown out there sometimes when it happens, especially between the players too. If a guy gets on, like, hey, like I'm gonna pick off this guy like 5 times in a row just because get him dirty. And, I think I did that in JUCO once. But that was it.
Speaking of pitching coaches, how awesome was Nolan with the Chucks last year?
Yeah, Nolan was definitely interesting because he was I think just being in summer ball, like he didn't want to be I don't think he wanted to be so hands on, obviously because he's not like we're not like his players in his own way, but he did it I think the perfect amount in the right way. Like, and if you asked for help, he was there and he was great. he like his main things were. It's funny. We always joked his main like cues were always stay in your back leg and let's go attack a hitter. And honestly, I never threw better. So whatever he said works. So no, he was great. You know, he really helped me with the changeup. Helped one of my other teammates, Braden Marks, helped him with his changeup, and you know, he saw a drastic improvement from summer ball into this year, this season with Bradley, and you know, it looks like he's throwing screwballs out there, but yeah, he's great. I think he was a great addition. Is he the pitching coach this year?
Nope, he became a dad, so he took the summer off.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
He thought he should be home.
That makes sense. No, I get
Yeah.
that. It's awesome, actually.
Apparently, his baby is more important than the woodchuck.
Apparently, they could have named him.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Name him Woody.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
no, I'm cool.
I mean, yeah. No, he was awesome. He was a great coach, and honestly, Kenton was the same way. He was awesome with me. Like, he saw some stuff in my swing, and he's like he would just work with me, and he worked with everybody too. It wasn't like, he wasn't actively every single day like, we're doing drill work or anything. But he's like, hey, I think you're spinning out here. You're kind of opening up. Your hips are firing too soon. Like, think about this. It was just more like cues, and they both did it, and they both did it in a great way, and they communicated it well, like very well. And obviously, you saw the production that was on the field. And Corey's more of, I think, a mindset guy. That's the vibe I took from him, and I think I relate to that pretty well. And I would play for him. So like every single day of the week, I would never hesitate. I can't wait to see where he goes after Kaiser. If he moves on past Kaiser, I would love to see where he can get to, because I think he's great. He's good at that job.
Yeah, so you were talking about how you led the league in hit by pitches. Have you ever hit a guy that charged the mound or started, running his mouth to you, where you were like, okay, this might go somewhere?
No, I don't think so. Especially like once you have established that you hit people, it's like, it's not on purpose. It's just like, yeah, hey, this guy might hit you. Like, the scouting report's like, he's a little wild. So you're kind of prepared. But there's definitely guys that they get mad, and I don't think they're even mad at me. I just think they're mad they got hit, which it never feels good. And I'll tell you that firsthand. But no one ever charged them out. That would have been fun. That would have been something. I don't know what my first plan. I think I would just throw the glove first and then let's go.
You could have been a Kyle Farnsworth.
Yeah. Yeah. My biggest fear is I would turn into, what's his name? Robin Ventura on that side of it.
Oh, yeah.
I've messed with the wrong dude.
So, do you feel bad when you hit a guy?
Sometimes, especially above the shoulders, you feel bad every time. You never that's a lie. If anybody's ever like, I'm gonna hit this guy in the head, like,
right?
At least it should be,
Yeah.
Because that's just one. It's just not safe. But there's times where I'm like, yeah, man, that's on me. Sorry, brother. Like, but at other times it's like, you know what? I know like this guy's on the plate. I don't feel bad. Like, there's been a couple guys I've hit that were all over the plate that I think I missed just up instead of like in. It was just higher, and I got his like wrist or something. And those I don't really feel bad about. I know that hurts, but it's kind of what you ask for when you get on the plate, and that's okay with me.
So have you ever been told by your coach, like, hey, they hit our guy, just go let him have it?
No. I wish I did. I wish I had that story. I'm not going to lie. I wish I had that story. I think my craziest, like, hit by pitch story wasn't even in the year that I led Missouri Valley in hit by pitches. It was last February. It wasn't this, it was my junior year. We were playing UNLV out in Vegas. I'm starting, and they all weekend they had our signs because of our catcher, and we didn't know it at the time, and no one did. It really wasn't his fault by the end of it, um, I think it got to the third. We were in the third inning or fourth inning. I think it was the fourth inning. It goes walk, and then literally in this like 6-pitch sequence, it went hit by pitch to the ribs, slider, hit by pitch to the elbow, fastball, helmet, and then it went good morning, good afternoon, good night out of the inning. 6 pitches, I had 3 hit by pitches and a strikeout. So that's the crazy. Like when I did that, I was like, I have no idea what's happening right now. Like, coach, I don't know. I'm not trying to do this. I'm not like eventually, once I hit the kid in the helmet, like everyone was starting to think like I did this on purpose. Dugouts are getting a little chirpy, but I'm like, I promise you, I'm not. Like this is not. I'm not trying to hit anybody in the head, especially on the third guy. If I'm not getting tossed by it,
Right.
I'm not getting tossed by the second one. I'm not trying to hit you with a slider. If I'm going to hit you, I'm going to hit you.
Right.
Have you ever got tossed for hitting a guy?
I got warned on that game, that UNLV game. They're like, "Hey, man, like, not sure this is on purpose or not, but we got to give you this warning." I'm like,
Yeah.
All right.
So then your next one, you would have just been gone automatically.
Yeah, that's what. At least I think. I think that's how that works. I've never been threatened with that, but yeah, I think that was the first time. That was the first time for sure.
So when you hit a guy in the helmet, do you like reach out to him after the game to make sure he's good?
No,
Or
there's just a level I'm not sure. Sometimes at one, I'm not sure who it is, or and two, it's just like I know he'll be all right, but obviously, like the one like I hit a kid from Murray State once, and I accidentally wired his mouth shut for like 4 weeks or whatever, and I actually had a summer ball teammate a teammate at Bradley who played summer ball with him, because then he was able to get innings or like at bats and stuff, because he missed like the back half of the season with his mouth and jaw and all that. That I should have probably reached out, but I didn't. I just didn't know him, but it sounded like he did all right. Like he came back and was able to play and all that, so that's good. I felt really bad for that one.
That's actually wild. I was just talking to one of my host kids last night, they're both pitchers, and he had the exact same story. He hit a kid in the mouth, and I asked him the same question: "Did you reach out and everything?" So that's funny that you said that, but it was like exact same story.
Yeah, no, it's a bad feeling too, especially because I know I throw my slider really well. So when they're seeing like some like arm side up, like a righty seeing something arm side in, and a little up, they're thinking slider, and my fastball just went right into their face, and they just didn't see it all the way. And that's typically how that works. Let alone the reaction time's it's not very large. Of course, with hitting a baseball, it's not it's the same way of getting out of the way of one. But yeah, no, it's never a good feeling to hit them, because one, you give them the base, so that's what sucks the most, I think. But then obviously, if you hit a kid in the face or the helmet, you're like, ooh, my bad, dude. I did not mean to do that. So the worst is hitting someone with a slider. That's the worst. It's like you didn't earn that.
Yeah. So when you start like racking up those hit by pitches, you get in your own head and be like, what's wrong with me? What's going on? Like, why does this keep happening? Or is it just
kind of in a small way? You're like, well, eventually it got to a point where like, all right, I'm due for one. Like, that's cool. Like, it's just one, I'm good. All right, that's it. Like, as long as it's not in a crucial moment, that's all I care about. So you can't really think about it that way when it gets to that point. You just gotta throw. You gotta play the game you played your whole life, and realize that like maybe there's some things mechanically I need to tune up. Whether that's me missing, pulling off with the glove side and missing arm side up, and like just being late, not on time, or maybe I'm just choking it and cutting the ball a little bit and hitting lefties or whatever what that might be. So you can't think about it that way, that's for sure, or else it's danger, because that will happen. I've seen it happen, unfortunately. But yeah, no, you just got to think about it. It's this game you played, and you just got to throw it. If you start thinking about how you're throwing, then you're in trouble.
You ever had a scary? I know you broke your thumb, but have you ever had a scary comebacker at you, where you had to, like, it was too close for your liking?
Yeah, there's I've actually have been hit twice in my career. Crazy thing is they've been both against Florida Atlantic, 2 years apart from each other. I got hit in the wrist, right here, and I was stuck, like this, following through, and it happened in slow motion. I just watched it hit me, and I'm like, yeah, that didn't feel good. I feel the ball go, like, throw it, and I got like a golf ball looking in my wrist, and I'm like, oh. And my coach comes out, and he's old school, and he's awesome, and he's like, so you good to go? And I'm like, uh uh no. And he's like, all right, well, thanks for coming out. I'll take the ball. But that one sucked too, especially because I actually made that was like a Tuesday game. I want to say no, Wednesday game. Sorry, and I had to start on Sunday, so I actually did, and that was pain. That was against Michigan. We had to start. We went from Florida to Michigan in the spring break trip. That was tough. It was March, like 18th or whatever, and it was cold. Um, and I had this wrist thing going on, and uh, I actually ended up doing all right with it. So, but I'm trying to think, there's definitely some line drives that go whizzing by the ear, and you're like, that's close. That sounded different too. Like, he got that one. That you got
Yeah.
every stitch of that ball.
Have you ever been close to throwing a no-hitter or perfect game?
Yeah, I was close when I was in high school. Um, but I never. They always ended up getting that hit in like the fifth or the sixth. I'd say that would be one of a cooler moment that I've had. Um, I've gone. I think at Bradley, my most no hit innings was probably three. One time through, and then being a sinker baller, typically you're kind of pitch to contact. Um, but we actually you see it work out sometimes. Like, it's just baseball. Like, I remember one of my first few days up in Wausau last year, we saw Grant Siegel throw a no hitter,
Hmm.
and he was just the element of, like, he was awesome to watch because he was just like, here you go, hit it, and nobody hit it hard because he was that good. He knew where he needed to put the ball, and he did exactly what he was supposed to do. And I remember, I think I started game 2 that day, and I'm like, I'm not sure how to top that, but I'll give you what I got.
Yeah.
But I think we did all right. We did pretty well, and because I think it was against Madison too, which
Yep.
is even better.
Yeah, the pitching staff last year was wild, too.
Yeah, yeah, that was an electric bullpen to have and to be a part of too. Like, um, starting's fun. Don't get me wrong. It's also like the sexy role that you get. You get the day, but like something about the adrenaline of coming in the back hat, like the back end, finishing a game. It matches to none.
So if you were a
Have,
closer, what would be your song you'd run out to?
Oh man, that's a. I would. I think probably "Dead or Alive" by Bon Jovi.
it's
I think that would be
a
it.
good one.
Yeah, I
Have
think
you
that's just it. I think.
have you done
What's
any
that?
closing? Have you done any closing, even just a couple appearances or something?
I was supposed to close. I should have had a save. Last year against Lakeshore, but we actually we pulled away big time from them. I think we won the game like 16-7. But when I was warming up, it was like 9-7.
Okay.
So I was hoping to get a save, but we pulled away too much for me to get it. Because that was before the All-Star break. I needed just like one more inning, and then we knew that I was coming in to start game 1 of the playoffs. So they just slotted me like, hey, you're gonna get 1 inning here. We're gonna throw you for 2 innings there. Like, just we want you to be ready to go for game 1 of the playoffs. But I had to save my in my conference tournament at JUCO. I came in on a win. I was DHing and came in the game, got the save. I was supposed to make a start the next morning, actually, and I got pushed back, DH'd, hit a homer. Next day, I then I got the start against, I think it was Parkland College, and did pretty well. So yeah, I think the only save I have, I think technically was in my JUCO times, but it's electric. There's nothing like it. So that's what you seen like Reese Clapp do it for
Twice.
Wausau. Yeah, and he did it for us. Against some pretty good comp. It's fun to watch, and honestly, I envy it at times. I'm like, man, this is badass.
So with your thumb injury, when that comes off and you can get to throwing again or whatever, is there like when you have a leg injury, you have to work back and you got to work up to full strength? Is that the same thing with you and your hand?
Pretty much, like the whole body, like everything's been moving. Like for the longest time, I just had a splint on my hand. So basically all I couldn't do was just like upper body for like working out and stuff. So like I was constantly doing like leg press. I was going on runs, getting the legs moving and core. So those were like the two things, obviously arms are fun and the best way to go, on your own time. So it kind of sucked, if I'm being honest. But yeah, I'm working back into it, trying to get all the mobility I can in it before I actually start like throwing bullpens and stuff. But that's kind of how that is working back right now. And if I did get to a point and I got to where I can get to Wausau, I think now that we kind of had that conversation, it just makes me think I would definitely only be good for probably 1 to 2 innings at a time because I wouldn't be as ramped up as much to go 5, 6, 7. So I would probably be a bullpen arm for the Chucks, which I would be down. Absolutely. So that would be something else too. But yeah, just working on it and then getting the throwing. I'm starting to throw now. But it's obviously I'm not, full intent right now, just pulling down with it and trying to work out some of the scar tissue and try and get all the mobility I can with it.
Have you ever like had an arm injury where you couldn't pitch, but you could still hit? Would you consider just hitting for the year? And would your coaches allow that?
Totally. I don't know. It kind of just depends, what they think. I would love to do that if that came to it. I'd be like, look, I can do this. I just need to get back in. I got to get my feet wet again. I remember, I stopped hitting, and so I actually didn't take some swings for the longest time, and all of a sudden, I wasn't really throwing too well, and I proceeded to actually hit BP for the first time before I start at Bradley, and I went like 7 innings, 9 strikeouts, and I'm like, yeah, that just felt right. Like, maybe I should do that more, just hit VP for the, fun of it and see what happens. So I would so consider that for sure.
All right, then we're going to leave you with one final question. Is a hot dog a sandwich?
No.
Oh, there we go. 2 in a row.
No.
You and Max are the first 2, and we love you. 2 in a row.
No, it's its own thing. It's its own thing.
Corey said it's a sandwich. Jake said it's a sandwich.
Sam.
Who said it was a sandwich?
Corey,
Jake Berkland.
Jake. Sam Nitsky, if you know him. Everyone said it was a sandwich until you and Max. You're the first 2.
What do you guys think?
No, we agree.
It's not.
It's on its own. There's no way it's a sandwich.
Yeah,
you can't order a hot dog at Subway.
Right.
That's a great point. That's a great point. Wow. Yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah. No, not a sandwich. That is its own entity. That is its own thing.
Like Max said, you could maybe compare it to a taco, but even then, that's not a sandwich.
For sure. Yeah. Yep. Another good point. That's another good point. Yeah. Because again, it's its own thing. It's not like you're putting it. Yeah. You could technically put it between 2 like buns or two
pieces of bread.
Yeah, pieces of bread.
But it's not a hot dog then.
No, but then it's not.
It's
a
like
hot dog. Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
I agree. We're on the same page on that.
All right. Well, we'll let you go there, Travis.
All
Hopefully
right.
we see you later this summer. Thanks for jumping on the pod with us. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me. I appreciate talking to you guys. I miss being up there. I definitely want to get back. Finish the job hopefully, and really get back with the boys because it's nothing like it up there. It's nothing like it.
Yeah, let us know if you happen to be heading to Wassa.
Yeah, I will. You guys will be some of the first people I text. So
Awesome. We appreciate it. We'll see
I'll
ya.
let you guys know. Absolutely. See ya.
See ya.
All right. See you, Travis.